In this week's review we're going to take a look at City Crisis, a helicopter action game that was developed by Syscom Entertainment, published by Take-Two Interactive and released on the PS2 in July of 2001. But before we get started I just wanted to say that if you like this video please hit the like button as it really does help the channel. If you're looking for more videos like this then hit the subscribe button, and if you've played this game yourself I'd love to hear your thoughts, so comment down below. Now let's move on to the review. So where to begin with this game? Once again I've managed to pick a game that doesn't feature characters or a story for me to set the scene for this review. To be honest, I picked this game purely based on its box art because I thought it would at least make an interesting video, so hopefully that ends up being the case. Anyway, what is City Crisis? As I said at the top of the video, it's a helicopter action game, which I know is a very vague description, but it's a hard one to find a category for. It's not realistic enough to call it a helicopter sim, it's full of action, so helicopter rescue game doesn't quite cut it either. So yeah, boiling it down to its basics, it's a helicopter action game. If you're looking for a quick and easy game to compare it to so that you know what to expect, then think almost like Crazy Taxi, but instead of picking up and dropping off people, you're putting out fires and rescuing people from accidents around a fictional city. To do this you have a choice of a few different helicopters that have varying stats, such as how agile and fast they are, but also thrown in with all of this is how many people they can carry at one time. So you have to decide between shuttling back and forth quickly to save everybody, or taking the slower approach but rescuing everybody in one go. The choppers also come equipped with water cannons and water missiles that you can use to put out fires. That's right, you heard me correctly. When trying to extinguish flames of an already exploding building, you come along in a helicopter and shoot missiles at them. The last aspect of the gameplay is the little man that you lower down to the civilians as you carefully tap the thumbstick in the right direction to pick them up before they burn to death, and for the most part this works perfectly well. Except for that one time where I lost a dog to the clunkiness of it all, and that was a really rough time for me. I don't really want to talk about that ever again. But there you have it, that is the game in a nutshell. There are some other missions here and there that break away from that format, like the mission where you need to keep a searchlight on a bus that's been hijacked to aid the police, but overall the bulk of the game is rescuing people before they burn alive. So the next question you have is, well, is it fun? And to that I say, sort of. This is one of those titles that you don't necessarily have a bad time with, more just you won't be itching to play more of it if you do pick it up. All of it works. The helicopters control well enough and are not overly cumbersome, the cannons and missiles are easy to get to grips with, and even have a lock-on feature, and picking up people off the top of a skyscraper can be a little tricky but is more than doable. While all of this is perfectly playable, I wouldn't go as far to say that it is massively enjoyable, so City Crisis ends up falling into this category of not being boring or exciting. I'm not sad about the time I spent with the game, nor do I see myself playing it again, which in today's market where this can be purchased for 50 pence, I suppose it serves its purpose. Visually, the game is about on par as you can get for a PS2 game in 2001. It features a large city with a variety of buildings and structures that would be impressive for its time, but it's coupled with a lot of very flat texture work and the occasional weird distortion when you're moving too fast. The best thing I can say is that while City Crisis is clearly a budget game, I wouldn't say that it looks like a budget game for its period. Sure, the fire and water effects could be better, and to be honest, I have a strong suspicion that if you weren't viewing this entire experience from a top-down view, I'd probably see more of this game's ugly side, but I've seen worse. Where it does feel like a budget title is the audio work, which is all very minimal, almost as if they only had money for a few tracks of background music and a few voice samples such as Help, Over Here and Mission Complete. Obviously the sound of helicopter blades and police sirens feature largely throughout, and I'm pleased that they weren't too overbearing as this could have been mind-numbing at a certain point. I will also say that the soundtrack that does feature has a very cheesy action early PS2 vibe that made me quite nostalgic, but that's more of a personal positive from my perspective.
Good job.
City Crisis is a game that back in 2001 I wouldn't look at for more than 2 seconds when browsing in my local Forbidden Planet, mainly because its box art didn't have a ninja or robot on it, but also because the game offers exactly what it says, which is rescuing people from burning buildings. You'll do that over and over again, you'll get better at it over time, you'll have a bit of fun firing water missiles, you hopefully won't lose a dog in an explosion like I did, you'll have your time with it, maybe a few hours at most, and you'll be done, and then most likely you won't think about it ever again. To its credit, it is a unique premise for a game, and the gameplay is solid enough that it's not frustrating, but not fleshed out enough to be as entertaining as you'd like it to be. If you're a collector like me and looking for something different, then you can't go far wrong with City Crisis, just don't expect too much of it.